Tornado survivors need FEMA assistance now. What to do if you have been denied. Plus, extending the deadline. The new deadline for St. Louis seniors to get a break on their property taxes. And the feds will not lower interest rates, but you can. The 5 things that you can do today to pay less in interest. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Michelle on the Money. This is all about your money from consumer to business news in the bi-state. FEMA assistance is crucial for the people who survived the devastating May 16 tornado that killed 5 people. 5 on Your Side's Mercedes McKay talked with FEMA officials to get help and help people get paid out for their losses.
We understand that people may be reluctant, people may not have asked for help before, but if you've been severely impacted by the May 16th tornado, that's why we're here.
On the corner of Newstead and Delmar, FEMA set up shop at Union Tabernacle Church, creating a disaster recovery center to help tornado victims get back on their feet.
Everybody went through the May 16th tornado together, but everyone's exact situation is unique. So that's why we're committed to working with every household one-on-one based on their specific needs.
John Mills with FEMA says inside the center, survivors can sit down with officials to get their questions answered and help uploading necessary documents.
We may be able to provide money to help people with basic home repairs, money to pay for a temporary place to live, money to replace essential personal property that was destroyed.
In order to get that money, you'll need the following documents handy: proof of ID, social security number, proof you were living in the home at the time of the storm, a general list of damage and losses, and banking information for a direct deposit.
If you do have insurance, you can provide your insurance documentation, such as an insurance settlement letter, and FEMA can consider you for money beyond what's covered by your insurance, potentially.
Once you submit your application, Mills says a FEMA inspector will then call you to schedule a home inspection.
It's required for FEMA to send a home inspector to verify those damage reports. And after that inspection is done, FEMA can potentially approve money that goes directly to you to help you begin your recovery.
While no one's recovery is the same, Mills is encouraging every victim to take advantage of the help that's out there.
What you've seen in St. Louis is a real outpouring of support across the community. Red Cross, Urban League, many other organizations providing assistance. FEMA is just one part of this very large team.
More recovery center locations will be announced later this week. This recovery center is open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. In North St. Louis, Mercedes McKay, 5 on Your Side.
And the deadline to apply for FEMA assistance is August 11th. The quickest way to apply is online at disasterassistance.gov. And you can also call at 1-800-621-3362. We want you to know that 5 on Your Side is still teaming up with the Urban League to help tornado survivors. There is now a special Amazon wish list. You can buy items like food, cleaning supplies, toiletries, chargers, as well as batteries. Just text the word Amazon to 314-425-5355 and we will send you a link to that list. Sendler in O'Fallon, Missouri is closing, leaving 93 people without jobs. The company says the business on Technology Drive will close for good on October 31st, and workers will be let go starting on July 22nd. Sendler is a company that deals with mortgages and specializes in loan servicing for other financial institutions. Also, the city of St. Louis is extending its senior property tax deadline. The program freezes certain property taxes for eligible seniors. Those 62 and older now have until the end of July to fill out that online application. And city officials say they extended the deadline to give those impacted by the May 16th tornado more time to upload their documents. Well, if you are flying out of Lambert anytime soon, you may want to take heed to a new warning from the feds if you are headed out of the country, and that is because of the Iran strikes. The State Department has a new warning for U.S. travelers, and they are urging Americans to use worldwide caution for any travel, citing the potential for demonstrations against U.S. citizens. They ask travelers to check their website for any updates. Also, despite the warnings, people have long booked their summer travel. And as Maggie Vespa reports, it's expected to be a record-breaking summer at the nation's airports in the coming months. And the timing of the Independence Day holiday is really a key reason.
As summer temperatures heat up, so does America's love for summer travel.
When you got here and you saw the crowds, what did you think?
We're not going to make our flight.
TSA announcing it set a new all-time single-day record, screening nearly 3.1 million passengers at airports nationwide Sunday, capping the first official weekend of summer.
I saw a lot of crowds and lines, and I said, oh my God, they leaving and I'm coming in. Thank you, Jesus.
The agency now bracing for a staggering holiday surge. It expects roughly 18.5 million passengers to fly around the 4th of July. The busiest day, Sunday the 6th. One factor, industry analysts say, the 4th lands on a Friday, making for an easy 3-day weekend.
4% more flights take off over the long weekend, so thousands more seats added for Americans who are looking to get away.
The vast majority of those traveling for the holiday will be hitting the roads, whether leaving for the airport or another destination. Experts advise leave early to beat traffic.
We're anticipating that an additional 1 million people are going to be on the roads compared to last July 4th.
The travel spike marking a pivot in summer projections after airlines for months predicted a slow season, citing widespread worries about inflation and tariffs. JetBlue Airways CEO warned staff last week, even after cutting flights and other costs, it's unlikely the airline's operating margins will break even this year. Analysts with travel site Hopper say overall demand has flattened after its post-pandemic peak.
We consider normalizing after incredible and outsized growth in the previous few years.
But they add these latest record-smashing surges prove Americans' love for a summer getaway isn't going anywhere.
Well, AAA says more than 72 million Americans will drive at least 50 miles from home this summer. And right now, gas prices are the lowest they've been since 2021. Several major U.S. insurers announced this week that they have voluntarily agreed to speed up and reduce prior authorization. So here's what that means. This is the red tape that makes doctors wait for insurance approval before giving care. And many plans from CVS Health, United, Cigna, Humana, and Blue Cross Blue Shield agreed to this change, including commercial coverage and certain Medicare and Medicaid plans. This will benefit 257 million Americans. Now, additionally, by next year, they will reduce the number of things that need prior approval. And by 2027, most requests will be handled instantly with a new electronic system. A cybercrime group hacked Aflac, possibly stealing Social Security numbers and private health data. The company says it spotted suspicious activity and shut it down within hours. They haven't said how many people may have been impacted, but is offering free credit monitoring to customers. Aflac says this was part of a larger cyber attack campaign targeting insurance companies across the country. Well, the Feds decided to keep interest rates where they are, but that doesn't mean that you are powerless. We sat down with the financial educator this week on Today in St. Louis Plus to find ways for you to fight inflation and bring down your own interest rates right now. Money is tight for a growing number of us. And so one nonprofit credit counseling group says it is actually seeing more financial stress among Missourians. So we have 5 things that you can do right now to lower your interest rates. And joining us now, we've got Paul trying to get his batteries on. Joining us now is Thomas Nitschke with Money Management, and he's a financial educator. And really, you're going to help us walk through some of these steps because they're pretty easy, right?
Yeah,
I mean, ideally.
Yeah. Well, you hear the word debt and you automatically get a lot of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Because, all of us have been there at one point in our lives. In my 20s, I was certainly there.
Yeah.
Especially with student loans coming back online. So if you're carrying a lot of debt, there's some things you need to know to be able to reduce the interest rate so that more of your principal is going towards, more of your payments going towards principal instead of interest.
Sure. And so what do you think is causing the most financial stress? Is it inflation right now? What do you think is, especially for Missourians?
Yeah, we've had a prolonged period of inflation. Things have been more expensive. We have the student loans coming back online. Interest rates are up. There's just a lot of different factors that come into this, and it's very difficult when you're trying to achieve your financial goals to stay on track with those things when you are really struggling with those payments.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people are struggling too.
Yeah. So what about a little DIY method to help us out?
Yeah,
here?
so some folks just need to create a plan, right? That's what we really want to understand, create a budget, spending plan, and then list out your creditors by your interest rates from largest to smallest, or your balances from smallest to largest, whichever keeps you most motivated, but pay the most you can to either the highest interest rate or the lowest payment. Those are called the debt snowball or the debt avalanche methods, and then make minimum payments to the rest.
Yeah, I can't remember which one I did. I did the smallest payments first. What is that, the avalanche or is that the snowball?
That's the snowball.
Okay.
That's the snowball, yes.
Okay, yes, because I love that instant gratification of like saying, okay, oh, I paid off that
You
$60
get further.
bill. Yeah.
You get further, yeah.
Okay, so you say one of the most successful ways to lower your APR is to just simply ask for it.
Ask and you
Is
shall
it
receive.
really that easy?
You shall receive, right? Like about 3/4 of people who ask their creditor for a lower interest rate receive it. And on average, they shave off 6 percentage points. So that's a huge difference over the duration of repayment. 6 percentage points when you're talking about a 20% interest rate, that can really help you go a long way. So it's really important to open up lines of communication with your creditors and have that conversation, especially if you're having a financial hardship, because most creditors have programs in place to help get you out of debt. They may even refer you to talk to a credit counselor if you're really overwhelmed.
Credit counselor. What about debt consolidation?
Sure. So the most
is it?
common forms of debt consolidation are either a balance transfer or a debt consolidation loan. Now, obviously, the caveat here is that you still have to have pretty good credit to be able to get the new line of credit to consolidate those payments into one. But hopefully by doing that, you're getting a much lower interest rate. Some cards even do a 0% up to 2 years. And so if you're able to make that, divide the total balance by 24 and try to make that payment every month, and you can have it paid off completely debt-free, or completely interest-free if you can make that payment every month.
Great stuff. Quick question on that. Does that go through another company? When you do a debt consolidation,
Yeah,
it's not
that's
like,
exactly what you're
okay.
doing. You're actually applying for a new line of credit and transferring that balance over to that new creditor at a lower interest rate, hopefully better terms. But again, that caveat there is that you have to have pretty good credit to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So there's some other options for people who don't have good credit. You can either work with your creditor directly, you can go through a nonprofit like MMI where we consolidate in what's called a debt management program, or you might do a debt settlement where if you have accounts that are already in collections, you've already fallen past due, you can work with you can do it on your own as well, but you could also work with a company to try to settle for less than what you owe.
It's tough though, isn't it? When you already have built up debt and then you have a great credit score, those two things don't usually go together.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah. It's true.
It's for sure. It's a real problem. If you find that you start to miss payments, most of your credit score is based on your payment history. So if you start to miss payments, it can be really damaging to your credit.
Yeah. I remember I did like some sort of debt management plan in my 20s, and I was really worried about it affecting my credit, but it helped me, when I was making $9.50 an hour charging my groceries at my first job. You can do, and one last question real quick, we're almost out of time. Debt settlement, is that a last resort, or what do you think?
It's kind of right before bankruptcy. It is really one of the last options because you typically have to be in collections in order to settle. In other words, when the creditor charges off that debt, they sell it for pennies on the dollar.
I see.
So then they're willing to settle for less than what you actually owe, usually about 50% of however much you owe. So you don't want to intentionally do it because it's hard on your credit. But if you've had a hardship, you've been unemployed, underemployed, you've gone through a divorce, separation, medical issue, you probably have some debts that have fallen past due. And if they're already past due, then by all means go ahead and settle it if it's already in collections, because at that point the damage is already done.
Yeah, the damage is done. Okay, and so where can people find you? Money management?
Yeah, it's moneymanagement.org is the best place to find us. We help with debt management programs. We can even do help with debt settlements in Missouri and Illinois.
Awesome.
Great
Okay,
job.
thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your
Absolutely.
time. I hope that
Anytime.
helps people because we know people are really struggling
does.
to make ends meet.
Yeah.
All right, and finally today, a new food truck park is planned in an up-and-coming area of St. Charles. According to our partners at the St. Louis Business Journal, Bench Racers will be open for a few events this fall. So this is going to be located between Main Street and Highway 370 in the city's historic Frenchtown district. Cannot wait, making me hungry right now. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for watching Michelle on the Money. And for more money stories like these, be sure to join me every day on Today in St. Louis starting at 5 in the morning. We're going to see you again next weekend right here on the 5 Plus app.